Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wayne's World of Science and Technology. Today, we're going to watch the NordSpace Launch attempt. I'm really hoping they get the vehicle off the ground this time. Last time they weren't able to due to some complications. Right now, we're currently on a hold because they had a boat in the safety area. And why did this thing go from full screen to that? Okay, there we are. That's better. They had a boat in the safety area, and so they had to hold the launch. And unfortunately, the people at NordSpace are not talking. So I decided to get in here and chat like crazy because, well, it's what I do. This is an important launch for NordSpace. Hopefully it'll go off well. Even if it doesn't go off well, they're bound to get a lot of data out of it. The thing is with rocketry these days is, to a certain extent, it's a known there's so much prior work existing that people can draw on that it's a lot easier to design stuff than it was, say, 50 years ago. And of course, never mind the fact that we have CAD and CAM and all these wonderful things that make working stuff out easier. But it's a so while it's easier, it's still extremely important. And why it's important is that space is literally the place where business is going to be moving. There are things we can do in space that we just can't on the planet. Some things, of course, will have to stay on the planet. Other things are better off planet. A long time ago, when the first of the new Star Trek movies, the Kelvin timeline Star Trek movies came out, I wrote a big post, which is on, sorry, I'm trying to remember the name of the site. It says, it's Magic Mirror in English, and it's a German, but it's a German name. The word is in German. I can't remember the exact word. Anyway, the point was that building a starship or anything large like that on a planetary surface is a really dumb idea. You have to get up through the atmosphere, you're working in gravity, and it's a lot easier to move multi-ton objects in zero gravity than it is in gravity. So building something on a planet just doesn't make sense. And that really turned me off that movie, the entire franchise, because if they got stuff that wrong, well, you know, it just wasn't technically feasible. So, yeah, I got nasty about it. Damn, I keep on remembering the wrong words. Anyway, the wrong name for the, I'll remember the name I say eventually. Anyway, so we got this launch here, and because space is such a major importance for business, and quite frankly, business is what pays the bills to keep all of us employed, and guys like me, well, we're on retirement, but I mean, basically, everybody works. Everybody needs resources, and we use money as a proxy for resources. So you work to get resources. If NordSpace can pull this off, they're going to bring in a lot of extra, when I say pull this off, I mean the entire orbital rocket thing. And quite frankly, the odds are fairly good that they will be able to pull it off because, as I said, it's been done often enough before by enough different companies. That will provide a huge economic boost. Right now, anything that Canada wants to send up, we have to ship on a rocket that is built by somebody else, whether it's the European Space Agency or the or through one of NASA's U.S. contractors, or of course you've got Rocket Lab down in New Zealand, and a couple others that are fairly small. It is a huge advantage from an economic standpoint to have our own launch providers. How big of an advantage? I don't really know. It's going to be, a lot's going to depend on stuff that is not easily predictable. We don't know how fast rocketry is going to improve. There's new technologies like the T-Finder radioactive sail, which sounds really neat if it works. I mean, the people that are working on it are definitely not jokers who failed their math classes. They're actual serious scientists, and I think that it could be an interesting thing, but you have to get stuff to orbit before you can use a T-Finder. That's where something like this comes in. Now, my understanding is they intend to make all their rockets reusable in time. That's something that SpaceX has done. The Rocket Lab is working on it, so are several others. Rocket Lab is, as far as I know, the furthest along. Honda in Japan recently did a launch and landed the booster. Well, they landed the entire rocket. They didn't, it was basically a launch as a sounding rocket, go up and come straight back down. My understanding is this flight isn't going to be quite that style. It looks, according to what I understand, they are planning on launching out over the Atlantic using the Earth's spin to help speed the rocket. But again, my understanding is that this is not an orbital launch, it's a sub-orbital. And the basic idea is to test the systems. Does the engine work as it's designed to work? Does the control system, do the control systems work as designed to work? You don't know until you actually get a vehicle in the air. And boy, I'm really hoping that boat gets clear soon, because I'm starting to run out of things to say. And most people who know me would probably tell you that I never shut up. Oh boy. Anyway. So this is extremely important. There's also another company which is also building a launch pad. By the way, NordSpace has their own launch pad. There's another company that has a launch pad, which is only about 100 kilometers from this one. And they're supposed to be trying for a launch fairly soon as well. I don't know exactly when right now. I should actually look that up. Sorry, I have a phone here. And since I don't want to... mess with the screen. Now then I probably can't type. My fingers are okay, the other company is Reaction Dynamics. Sorry, folks. Yeah, I should remember. I should remember, but hey. It's still morning. I got excuses. It's only 10:52. Well, 9:30 here. Oh, and of course, by the way, the fact that there's a fishing boat in the range isn't 100% surprising. This is Newfoundland. There are fishing boats everywhere. Fishing is a large part of the economy of the Atlantic provinces, and fishing, there have been problems with overfishing. That appear to have been, we appear to have mostly fixed that. Fingers crossed. As an aside, that Canada is the home of one of the few land animals that actually hunts humans for sport. Yeah, we are. Guess what? They're protected species. You're not allowed to hunt them. They're allowed to hunt you, but you're not allowed to hunt them. Polar bears. Gotta love the critters. And of course, one of the few animals that can actually drive off a polar bear is what we call a cobra chicken, a.k.a. a Canada goose. And if you've ever seen a Canada goose in a rage, well... Yeah. They can actually drive off most predators. The animals can anyway. So, we're still waiting for this thing to launch. It is a liquid-fueled rocket. The engine and everything else on the rocket is made in Canada, with the possible exception of a few pieces of electronics that had to be imported from Taiwan because we don't have any electronics manufacturing. Well, we don't have any CPU or GPU manufacturing facilities in Canada, but that's still pretty damn good. And unfortunately, we're still waiting for the damn boat to clear. Come on, guys, get that boat out of the way. Maybe somebody can take that boat an extra outboard or two to speed them up. Who knows? I really like the Canadian flag on this, but hey, well, I'm Canadian, so yeah, I'm prejudiced. I think that the launch, once it occurs, if it does occur today, is going to be a big step forward. And I'm really hoping that they do well with this. I really am. This is something we've needed to do for a long time. There have been a number of attempts to build Canadian rocket companies before that weren't successful because, well, the time wasn't quite right. When I say the time wasn't quite right, at that point, the United States was still a trusted partner. Now they aren't. Thus, we absolutely have to have a launch capability that isn't tied to the United States. Getting components to Europe or to the French launch site in French Guyana is a pain in the butt. We're better off launching here because we are so far from people. You know, it's the same with Japan. Japan could launch for us, but they're too far away. We need something that we have here because Canada is so isolated. I mean, if you look at it from a military point of view, Canada is technically the largest island on the planet. What it has to the south of it is an impassable shoal called the United States. Nobody's going to invade us through the United States. Well, except for possibly the United States if Donald Trump gets too loony, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think even he is that crazy. The necessity to have your own launch company when you are so isolated is huge. You know, if you're in Germany, you could ship something to France, or the French could ship something to Germany, or for that matter, they could ship it over to England to the launch site in Scotland. But, you know, those are short distances. We're so far away from everyone, we have to have our own capability. Because the only country we're close to is the United States, and, well, as I said, they've become somewhat less trustworthy recently. And would you really want to put a national security payload on a rocket that is controlled by a country that has said that they want to make you their 51st state? Most probably not. At least not if you're sane. And, well, I like to think that I'm still at least partially sane. Okay, well, we're still stuck here. Now, NordSpace isn't actually announcing anything, which is really curious. The last they said, and sorry, I'm checking the... we still don't know whether or not the boat has been contacted. Oh, they are in contact, yep. And they're signaling the boat using Morse code. Well. Somebody commented, tuned in on the launch, getting commentary on Nova Scotia, Labrador, or Newfoundland, Labrador fisheries. Yep, that's about it. This is Canada, so the delay is caused by a fishing boat. What the heck? That thing stopped. Sometimes.
Ability or not, you know, we sometimes we'll hire.
Crap!
I thought it was great.
I had a
So I loved it.
pause.
Like dived in head first, and yeah, it's something that I wanted to do.
That's
So
awesome. We're so grateful to have you here, David. One of the things that I think
Okay, so at least we
like
got
you and
some
I
guys
really
talking now.
kind of
I'll shut up.
synced up on when you first joined NordSpace was I've always said at the end of every presentation that I've done, and I've always like it's our choice as Canada, as Canadians. Do we want to be leaders or do we want to be participants? This is an active choice. You look at all the major space missions, including Canadarm. As amazing as these feats are, we have always piggybacked and been participants. And we're capable of so much more. I mean, with our GDP, with our status in the world, our history, technologically, culturally, economically.
Okay, I keep
So
on
you need
hitting
to
the
know
wrong
which
button.
one to pick and which ones to stay away from.
Can you guys
So
tell
I
me
guess
how I'm
that's
used to
where
doing
my
this
experience comes
live?
in. I know,
Yeah.
there was a situation where there was like
Sorry,
10
I'm
boards
gonna
that I
step away
could
a
pick from,
moment.
but then,
I just realized my
when I
glasses
looked at
need cleaning.
the features that I wanted, there was only 2 that I could pick from. So, and again, I guess that does come from experience, and yeah, I'm glad that helps us.
Yeah, it's super valuable, super valuable. Well, David, I don't want to hold you back too much. Do you have any kind of final thoughts that you'd like to share with people, across Canada and the world that are listening to you and are following our mission?
Yeah, I hope you guys, this, inspires you. I know it's inspiring to me, even though I'm on the same team. But yeah, like always, it's great to. I think it's good to honor what was done in the past, but I feel you shouldn't get stuck with that. I feel like you should try to find the next level and push on that. And you see it a lot in companies. One example is the BlackBerry. When I was growing up, I remember seeing them. They were in their heydays, and then you kind of stop dreaming. You kind of stop trying to find that next gear, and then somebody else comes by, and you're left behind. So at NordSpace, I hope we keep that spirit alive. We always want to keep pushing. Of course, there are times where you have to slow down, take a temperature check, but always, I think it's about having that spirit of like, hey, what's next? What else can we do? What's the next big thing that we could do? And not losing that spirit.
I totally agree. I think in addition to the rocket and the satellites and the robots and everything else that we're going to be building at NordSpace over the coming years, I think the thing I'm most proud of and is working with people like you, like our team. And I think we're building a very unique team here that'll set a standard for Canada in terms of ambition, culture, and just go-getter attitude. One of the things I love about being here in Newfoundland, and one of the reasons we chose it, is we felt it right from the start, where the default reaction for people here, just like our team, you get an idea that might sound crazy, but your first reaction isn't to close off and say no. It's to like, okay, yes, let's figure out how to do this and let's work the problem, not shut it down. And I think we need a lot more of that. And the fact that you're such a free spirit, the fact that you're so talented, is one of the most important reasons I think that we're going to be successful as a company and as a country. So thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do.
Awesome. All right, I'll get back to that rocket.
Let's do that.
Oh, we're back to being quiet, so I can start talking again. Ooh, did you see the beautiful scenery in the background? It's one thing about Newfoundland. It's one of the wildest places in Canada in some ways. If you look at the map of Newfoundland, you'll find a dog pond. Yeah, they have a place called the Dog Pond. And it's it's pretty big. Newfies have a strange idea of scale. And Newfoundland actually has its own unknown soldier. Canada has 2 unknown soldiers. We're the only country that does. And that is because in World War I and World War II, Newfoundland was an independent country. So they have their unknown soldier, and when they joined Canada in 1956, well, okay, so we've got 2 unknown soldiers. Newfoundland is extremely rugged. The trip from the mainland to Newfoundland is quite interesting. As a matter of fact, when the waves get going, the Fury has this tendency to bounce like you would not believe. So, yeah, it's a pretty wild place. What is it? 6 hour journey to, I think it's a 6 hour journey from New Brunswick to the east coast, the west coast of Newfoundland. The journey to the east coast is more like 15, I think. It's been a long time. Look, when I was in Newfoundland, I was 17 years old, and I'm 68 now. So, yeah, I've had 51 years to forget. But, love the place, actually. And it's probably one of the friendliest places in Canada. Oh, and if you want to hear good Newfie jokes, go to Newfoundland. They know more than anybody. The Newfie jokes I heard there were pretty wild, I'll tell you. So, we've got more time waiting while they wait for the boat to get clear. They did announce that, yes, they have been in contact with the boat, and the boat is now moving away. How long it will take to get out of the exclusion zone? Okay, it says it's nearly left the exclusion zone. Good, so we should be seeing a launch very soon. And I should really put this where I can see it rather than having to move it around all the time. Or maybe what I should do is bring up their chat so you can see it. You'll see the announcements along with me. But I'm really looking forward to this, as you may have guessed from the fact that I'm still standing here staring at a screen of a rocket that's sitting there because there's a boat in the way. Just hope it wasn't the antelope. And, okay, sorry, bad reference. Look up a song called Barrett's Privateers and you'll hear about the antelope. It is a ship that you do not want to serve on. Oh, and I'm having a problem standing now. Maybe I should get smart. Sorry, folks, the desk is going to move. Okay, that's a nice, comfortable height. Now I can lean back and be comfortable. And wait. And wait like everybody else. And you saw that bit, it's 3D printed rocket. Well, 3D printing is going to make building rocket motors so much, I say easier. There are things you can do with 3D printing that you just can't do with castings or with machining. So it's a excellent way, especially if you're producing low volume items, to produce them. And rocket motors do tend to be relatively low volume. And, you know, it's not exactly the sort of thing you drive down to Walmart to buy. So, we are back at waiting again. And I gotta think of something to talk about. The implications of this launch are pretty large, really. I mean, having your own launch capacity in country, and note that I am assuming that they will be successful because I did some checking. The company is reasonably well funded, from what I can tell. I'm not an accountant, so I'm just going by what I learned when I was looking at companies from the point of view of a salesperson a long time ago. And it said the basics technically shouldn't be that difficult. And I said technically, you never know what's going to happen when you get a system together and you actually get it running the first time. Sometimes you'll find out there's incompatibilities between components that you didn't think would happen. So it's quite possible this launch might end up being a failure. It may not even get off the launch pad, though I would say I'm pretty confident that it will get off the launch pad. What will happen after that is going to be the fun part, because you can test an engine, and they have. They know the engine works. They know how much thrust it produces. But what happens when you've got the entire vehicle in front of the engine, and all the other components are playing into it? That's totally different. There's any number of devices that look great on paper, but when they were actually put into production, it turned out there was something in the design that just wasn't suitable. So, vote almost clear, they say. But now we're just waiting again. I really want to see this go up. You know, when I was a kid, I got lucky. I got to watch the very first suborbital launches from the United States on TV. That was amazing. I've always loved rockets ever since. I watched them go through the Gemini, the Saturns, the Space Shuttle, which was a beautiful failure. And when I say beautiful failure, yeah, it did what it did, but it was so expensive it was unsustainable. Watched the various attempts by SpaceX to get stuff to actually fly, which were, some of the early ones were quite fun. But then they got things flying, and then they actually started to land stuff. And, well, hey, watching Rocket Lab, Skyrora, trying to keep track of all the launch providers, because these guys are going to be huge economically in the future. There are things that we just cannot do on this planet. There are medicines that we can make in space that we can't make here because gravity tends to mess up the mixing of the materials. So it's going to be really interesting seeing how far things can go. NordSpace is already producing pharmaceuticals in orbit, very limited amounts. Right now, it's just basically a test phase. Oh, they've changed the camera angle. Wonder if that means something. Nope, doesn't say anything yet. Okay. Apparently, wind speed might be a bit of an issue. Yeah, high wind delay, great. Just what we needed. That's one of the problems with having an ocean launch site. A lot of wind changes. Well, we're kind of waiting for NordSpace to actually make an announcement, but the chat's going like crazy. Wind fog capital North America. Yeah, wind capital definitely. Newfoundland actually gets a fair number of the ends of hurricanes that have hit the United States. They quite often strike Newfoundland. But you need to be able to, you need to be near the shore to launch. If you aren't, you end up with situations like in China where their launches are mostly from the interior of the country, and if there's an accident, the rocket comes down on land, and a couple of times they hit things they shouldn't have. Villages, in other words. This is not good for the people living there, needless to say. So you do want to be near the shore, you want to be able to arc out over the water, and you want to make sure there's no pesky fishing boats in the way. And, well, then you got to wait for the wind to cool down. Oh boy. Yeah, we're still on hold, folks. I don't know how long this will take, but I think I'm probably going to stick to the entire thing because really, I want to see this go up. I so much want to see it go up. So there's nothing like seeing a rocket launch. It's one of the most inspiring things. Beating gravity using chemical energy. Well, okay, there are other things we could use, but it would be a little bit less safe. Some of you probably heard of Project Orion, the idea of using nuclear bombs to propel a spacecraft. Yeah, it would work in theory, but I wouldn't want to take off from any planet that I cared about doing that. Just think of all those nuclear weapons going off in atmosphere to get you above the atmosphere. Ooh, that would be a real fallout mess. No, not safe. Right now, chemical is the safest way we have to get up until we come up with some alternative. Can we come up with an alternative? Maybe. It depends on what they find out. I mean, what was it? It was only about 100 years ago that the first liquid-fueled rocket was launched. Just a second. Okay, you don't need to see that one. See, 1926, March 16, 1926, was the first successful liquid-fueled rocket launch from Auburn, Massachusetts. Gasoline and liquid oxygen. It reached a grand altitude of 41 feet, but it was the first time. And that led to this. And the Falcon 9, and all the rest of them. Goddard was a bit of a genius. A bit of a mad genius, but a bit of a genius. Of course, most geniuses are a bit mad. It goes with the territory. Oh, so we're still waiting. So apparently the ship is fueled, but it isn't pressurized yet. Now, it looks like things are quieting down a bit there, though I can't tell the wind speed. The clouds aren't moving that fast anyway. Oh, the tanks are now pressurized. Go for launch. Yeah. This is what I'm waiting for. Yeah. Can you tell I'm excited? These things always excite me. There's nothing like seeing a rocket going up. Come on, boys, let's go. Yeah. Come on, let's see this sucker fly. Come on. Come on. When's the count start? Now, note one thing. It's launched on an angle. This is quite similar to the way the Japanese have launched stuff for ages. This means that the tower doesn't drop away. It stays in place to act as a guide. Now, we should hopefully see the fuel connectors. Notice these hoses here. We should see them disconnect soon. We see them disconnect means things are one step closer to launch. And there's also, as you'll notice, connections up here. One's for the oxygen tank, one's for the other fuel, which I believe is kerosene. Just a sec, let me check that. What is NordSpace using as fuel? So it always helps when I can type. Technology. Engines. Oh, that's interesting. Doesn't say what fuel they're using. Interesting. I wonder why they don't mention. Okay, that's fun. RP1 or Jet A. Yeah. Jet A RP1 is a standard grade rocket kerosene. Now, they're also supposed to be switching over to a what they call sustainable aviation fuel, which is supposed to be carbon neutral. I'm not sure. It doesn't give me enough information here to know exactly what they're doing with that. Oh, they switched the view. They're giving us the beautiful flags. You know, according to reports, it's go for launch. Well, just wait till the wind. They've also got a hypersonic vehicle that they're working on, apparently. SHARP, Supersonic and Hypersonic Applications Research Platform. Which should be interesting. I mean, it looks like a neat vessel. I'd show it to you, but that would mean I'd have to kill this other screen. Oh no, wait, I can just haul it over. Just a second. Here. Ain't that pretty? Okay, it looks like we're getting closer. The one fuel line's been disconnected now. The one on the launch tank is still hooked up. I have no idea what's going on. Some people think it's a scrub, some people think that they're the quick disconnect retracted. That means we're probably heading for launch. If they're going to detank, I think they'd leave the disconnect on and detank through the disconnect, but come on, guys. Oh, we got a countdown. We got a countdown. Yes. Now we're cooking. Oh, what's this? It looks like it's firing early. Okay, I have to enlarge this so I can see everything. Something's going on. Countdown's still happening. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Had nothing. I guess it's a scrub. Something's burning, though. Question is, what's happening? I really wish they'd say something. Darn it, I was hoping to see this thing fly today. Ooh, that hurts. I really want to see this baby fly. I said, I'm a rocket nerd. I love rockets. It's definitely a lot of smoke from something. I have no idea what. But the rocket is definitely not leaving. I mean, I'm sure I saw fire coming from the engine bell, but ship never lifted. And something's definitely burning pretty hot there. Look at that smoke. Okay, the vehicle is safe. But there's been no announcement from NordSpace yet on what they're planning or what is actually happening. Well, we still don't know quite what's going on. It sucks, but I mean, like, I'm sure I saw the engine light, but the vehicle didn't move. So what happened? I'm going to have to look into that. I imagine quite a few people will be looking into that. Well, the fire appears to be going out. Somebody says we appear to have had a leak from the vehicle. And that's what... So when the rocket lit, it caught the leak fuel on fire. Great. Well, at least that would make sense. Black smoke is the sort of stuff you see from a kerosene fire. Just wish we had another view of the launch pad. But they only have so many cameras. Okay, let's go back here and bring the chat back up so you guys can see it too. Okay, looks like the fire is just about out. Yeah, still a bit of smoke there. Someone just said, am I getting back to work or hanging out longer? Yeah, that sounds about normal. For a first launch attempt, you never know what's going to happen. They get a few launches under their belt, and then things will be a lot smoother because all they'll have the experience. Yeah, still smoke. Okay. Looking for an afternoon launch window. So, I will have to come back later. I will be watching for this because, again, I'm going to go live when it goes. I want to see this thing fly. And if they aren't commenting a lot, well, I can sit here and do my stuff. Anyways, that's it for now, folks. Have a good day. We will hope that the afternoon launch makes it. So I really want to see this baby go. Elbows up, Canada.